Should you play a loose aggressive poker style at the live low stakes? This is the question I get asked all the time, and here is my answer to it. So if you look around at the poker tables, usually the players with the biggest stacks, the ones that are the most successful ones, do play a loose aggressive style. But that doesn't mean that you should necessarily do it. So I'll tell you when you are ready to do that. There are three things in poker where you can have an edge. One is the position. So if you have position over someone. The second one is simply the card edge. If you have pocket aces and they have 7-5 offsuit, then you have a card edge. And the third one is the skill edge. And you basically have to have at least two of those in every hand to be profitable. But the thing here to consider is how big is that gap? How big is your edge there? So in terms of position, the edge can't be too big. You either have position or you don't have position in a heads-up pot. So that one's static. But the other two are dynamic. The card edge, well, if you have a slightly better hand than your opponent, well, you have a small edge. If you have a much better hand than your opponent, you have a very big edge. And when you have a very big edge and you have position, then a big card edge and position, then the skill edge doesn't matter that much. Of course, it's nice if you have that, but it doesn't matter that much. If the card edge shrinks, well, now your skill edge has to be bigger to make up for that card edge. And the problem is, if you play a loose aggressive style, you will have more and more hands that you play with, and your card edge disappears. So not only does it become small, but it turns negative, which means that now you need to rely on position. You still need to have that. And then also you need to make up for that negative card edge by having a serious skill edge. So when you have that, then you can remember that when you are in position, then you can play a loose aggressive style. If you're out of position, you still can't really play that, because even if you then have the skill edge, but you don't have the positional edge, you don't have the card edge, that's not great. But if you have that skill edge, that's when you can actually play the loose aggressive style when you're in position. But for that, you really need to have that skill edge, and a lot of players overestimate the skill edge that they have over their opponents. Just because they see that they don't make the biggest mistakes their opponents make doesn't mean that they really have a big skill edge. So how do you get to that skill edge? Well, the first thing is, and this is a non-negotiable, you have to get your fundamentals right. You have to know how to play ABC poker successfully. That as I say, this is absolutely non-negotiable. So this is what you start with, and this is the tight aggressive style that doesn't let you make a lot of mistakes if you do it properly. And that is what I teach, and that is what I tell everyone when they start out to learn. Now, once you master that, you go into the next step, and the next step is hand reading. So once you can really put your opponent on a range of hands, and you keep doing that, you keep practicing that, and you notice how much better you become at that. And by the way, you have to do that work off the table. You can't just do it while you're at the table. You have to then also do some work outside and analyze that. But once you got that nailed down, that is where your skill edge really improves, because your opponents can't do that. So if you can do that, that's where the skill edge comes from. And then, as I said, once you have that skill edge, combine it with position, and that's the green light to start being a little bit more loose aggressive. But, and this is the other thing that's very, very important here, a lot of players, when they try to become more loose aggressive, what they actually do is they become a bit more loose passive. They see that hand was just like 9-7 suited, whatever, and they're thinking, well, it's not really good enough to 3-bet with it. Some guy opened, or I have position, so I'll just call here. Well, that is exactly the wrong thing. That's not being a lag, that's just being afraid of losing a big pot there and not wanting to put in a lot of money. So that is really the key, that you have to become loose aggressive. And how do you train aggression? The best way for that is to play micro stakes online, where money doesn't really matter that much. If you play 1 cent, 2 cents, the maximum you can lose is $2. So that is how I started doing it. I played a lot of hands there, and I got over my fear of raising and played a 3-bet or fold strategy, and I kept raising. So this is the path to playing lag, and until you have these components, just stick to a tight, aggressive style. That one will do you much, much better. If you're serious about fixing your leagues for good, book a free league finder call with me and my team, and it's the same process I've used to help dozens of players turn their game around and finally beat the live low stakes consistently. Book a call to see if you are a good fit for our next opening cohort. Click the link below to find out more.